Hello. Today I'd like to summarize a very fascinating book that I read by the name of Giver and Taker, or Give and Take, by a professor. His name is Adam Grant, and he is a professor from Wharton School. The book has been translated in over 30 languages, and it's a go-to book and it's a fascinating book to read through. The idea or presented in his book is about give and take, which is something that we do on a daily basis. But there are some fascinating facts presented in this book, because this book is more so about experiences as well as a research book. When it comes to give and take, there are always two types of people in this world. Usually, the two extremes we find. Givers and takers. So there are givers who are always looking for make people happy. They are trying to be more and more responsible, providing more and more social justice, and being more compassionate. And these are the type of people who are always thinking about others, lifting others, as well as thinking about the welfare of others. On the other extreme, you have takers, who are always looking for the extreme of takers, who are always looking for wealth, power, pleasure, and winning. And these are the people who are like credit mongers of this world. Their focus mainly is into themselves. It's all about me, and that's all they care about. There are some other facts which are mentioned in this book. The idea about genius and genius makers. So there are people who are called genius, or so-called genius, who are always looking for propagating themselves as well as promoting their ideas. But the better position probably is when you are a genius maker. So you are promoting others, elevating and lifting others, so that they excel in their life as well as in their objectives. Anyways, going forward, there are some discussions which it talks about the two ends here. So we have the doormat giver and we have a smart giver. So doormat givers are people who are giving unconditionally on a constant basis without expecting any return. And that's why they are called doormat givers, because sometimes, unfortunately, people do treat them as doormats. On the other hand, you have smart givers who are giving, but they are cautious about when to give and how to give and how much to give. And then there's a balanced approach, which is takers and matchers. So there are people who are between givers and takers, and these people are always weighing against each other. So they would always, it's like a to and fro thing. So they would only give if they get it. Summing it up into a matrix is an interesting fact. So the chart that we have shows others' interest on x-axis and self-interest on y-axis. On the bottom left side, you have a term called apathetic. So apathetic are the people who have low self-interest and who have low others' interest. These are by the name apathetic. So they are people who are indifferent about themselves, indifferent about others, and they are nobody. No one really cares about them, and you don't want to be in that position. The other area is called selfish, pure takers, who have high self-interest and low interest for others. Selfish people sometimes are considered to be more successful, but their success is limited, and it's not a sustainable thing, because the environment that they create is very competitive, very ambitious, and sometimes negative. On the bottom right side, you have people which are called selfless, self-sacrificing givers. The ideal situation, so it seems like, this is something that we have always been told to become more and more giver. There is a downside to this position, because this position is unhealthy and overwhelming. There's a limit to which you can give unconditionally without expecting any return, self-sacrificing without and compromising on your own interest. So there would be a point where this would become overwhelming, and it may reach you or bring you into a burn down situation. So you'll just burn out. So this is not a sustainable way of living. And ideally, a situation which is termed here as Adrish. So Adrish are people who are termed as successful givers. So these are people who have high interest in others and high interest in self as well. Ideally, this is a situation where people should be happy, and I've seen that in my personal life as well, is that people who tend to be more givers, as well as thinking about their own objectives, their own interests, as well as their own self-promotion to a certain extent, are more successful, as well as they create a very positive environment. So these are the people who give a little bit more than take, and this type of model is a more sustainable model, and eventually it creates a positive environment in our personal as well as in our professional lives. So, and one more fact, this research has suggested that when it comes to givers and takers, there is zero gender bias. Men and women both could be good, successful givers and so-called Adrish. Thanks a lot.